Susan Stebbing was a 20th-century British philosopher who championed clear thinking and logical analysis in everyday life. She believed that ordinary people could and should learn to think critically, especially in a world full of political and media manipulation. Like many analytic philosophers, she argued that vague or emotional language often hides poor reasoning. Her book, Thinking to Some Purpose, aimed to teach the public how to detect flawed arguments and misleading rhetoric. The British philosopher also contributed to the development of analytic philosophy, applying logic to problems in science and metaphysics. She was one of the first philosophers to bring rigorous analysis into public discourse, believing that democracy depends on rational thought and educated citizens. Hedwig Conrad-Martius was a 20th-century German philosopher and a key figure in early phenomenology. She focused on the nature of reality, aiming to uncover the essential structures of being through careful, descriptive analysis, not speculation. Her work explored the metaphysical foundations of nature, especially living organisms. She believed that everything can be studied in its pure nature and that the world has a layered, dynamic structure that can be revealed through rigorous phenomenological investigation. The German philosopher also engaged deeply with questions of spirit, life, and the soul, blending science, metaphysics, and phenomenology. Her thought influenced figures like Edith Stein and helped open philosophical space for a serious study of ontology within a phenomenological framework. Edith Stein was a 20th-century German philosopher who began her career in phenomenology under Edmund Husserl. She focused on how we experience the inner life of others, arguing that empathy is a direct, intuitive form of understanding, not just emotional sympathy. She later integrated phenomenology with Thomistic thought, exploring the nature of the human person, freedom, and the soul. Stein believed that the human being is a unity of body, soul, and spirit, created for a relationship with God. After converting to Catholicism, her philosophical work became deeply spiritual. She emphasized the role of individuality, vocation, and self-giving love. Her writings on women, community, and the meaning of being continue to influence both philosophy and theology today. Hannah Arendt was a 20th-century political thinker who explored the nature of power, freedom, and totalitarianism. She believed that politics should be rooted in action and dialogue among free individuals, not domination or ideology. In the human condition, she distinguished between labor, work, and action, arguing that true political life arises when people act together in public to shape their world. For Arendt, freedom meant the ability to begin something new, to speak and act in ways that reveal who we are. She is also known for her concept of the banality of evil, developed while observing the trial of Nazi official Adolf Eichmann. Arendt argued that great evil can sometimes result from thoughtless obedience and failure to judge, rather than from deep hatred. Her work remains important for understanding responsibility, totalitarianism, and political life. Simone de Beauvoir was a 20th-century French philosopher and a key figure in existentialism and feminism. Like Jean-Paul Sartre, she believed that humans are not born with a fixed essence. We become who we are through our actions and choices in a world without predetermined meaning. Her most famous work, The Second Sex, argued that one is not born but rather becomes a woman. She explored how society constructs femininity and how women have historically been treated as the other in relation to men. Liberation, for her, means rejecting passive roles and embracing active responsibility. Beauvoir believed in the importance of freedom. Simply acknowledging that we are free is not enough. We must actively choose to embrace our freedom and take responsibility for our choices, which includes recognizing and promoting the freedom of others. Her work helped lay the foundation for modern feminism and continues to influence debates on gender, identity, and human freedom. Simone Weil was a 20th-century French philosopher and mystic who explored the nature of suffering, justice, and spiritual attention. She believed that true understanding begins with attention, a selfless openness to reality, others, and ultimately, to the divine. The French philosopher emphasized that suffering can reveal deep truths of human existence, particularly when experienced with a spirit of openness and humility. For her, justice means recognizing the sacred dignity of every person, especially the afflicted. She argued that society must protect individuals from oppression, yet remain grounded in humility and compassion. Though born Jewish, Weil was deeply influenced by Christian mysticism. She never formally converted, but saw Christ as the embodiment of divine love and self-emptying. Her work blends philosophy, ethics, and theology, challenging us to live with integrity, awareness, and love. Murdoch was a 20th-century British philosopher and novelist who explored the nature of morality, love, and the self. She believed that ethics is not just about rules or principles, but about how we see the world and others. She argued that the moral life involves turning away from selfish fantasy toward a clear and loving vision of reality. For Murdoch, real goodness requires attention, an honest, patient focus on people as they truly are, not as we wish them to be. She also challenged the idea that freedom means choosing without constraint. Instead, she saw freedom as a lifelong effort to overcome ego and become more attuned to truth and goodness. Her work bridges literature, philosophy, and spiritual reflection in a unique and powerful way. Elizabeth Anscombe was a 20th-century British philosopher who made major contributions to ethics, philosophy of mind, and action theory. She was known for her precise, rigorous thinking and moral clarity. In her influential essay, Modern Moral Philosophy, she criticized contemporary ethics for relying on empty notions like moral obligation without a proper foundation. Without a divine law framework, modern ethics lacked coherence, according to her. In her celebrated work, Intention, she explored what it means to act intentionally, and as a student of Wittgenstein, she played a key role in bringing his ideas to the English-speaking world. Her work helped shape modern discussions on intention, responsibility, and moral reasoning, and she remains a key figure in both analytic philosophy and Catholic thought. Philippa was a 20th-century British philosopher known for reviving virtue ethics. She challenged the dominant view that morality is based on rules or subjective feelings, arguing instead that it's rooted in human life and natural goodness. Foote believed that virtues like honesty, courage, and justice are essential for human flourishing. Drawing on Aristotle, she claimed that moral judgments are objective, not commands, but evaluations of how well someone is living as a rational, social being. She is also famous for the trolley problem, a thought experiment that explores moral dilemmas and the consequences of our choices. Through such examples, Foote showed the complexity of moral reasoning and the importance of practical wisdom in ethical life. Ruth Barcan Marcus was a pioneering 20th-century logician and philosopher whose work helped shape modern modal logic, the logic of possibility and necessity. She introduced what became known as the Barcan formula, which explores how modal operators and quantifiers interact, raising important questions about identity, existence, and reference across possible worlds. She held the view that proper names have rigid designation, meaning that reference is stable across possible worlds, and that true identity statements, therefore, are necessary. Beyond logic, Marcus wrote on ethics, identity, and belief, emphasizing clarity and consistency. She also championed the view that moral judgments can be rational and objective, resisting both relativism and subjectivism. Her rigorous approach helped shape modal logic and analytic philosophy in the 20th century,